everyone, and Assalamu alaikum. This is Introduction to Psychology Part 2 by Dear Knowledge. Okay, we have already started our Chapter 2, which is all about the emotions. And if you haven't watched that previous lecture, we have completed Part 1. I have given all the links in the description section, and if any of the link is missing, or if you have missed any of the lecture, you can ask me in the comment section, and I will update the description section for you. We have started the chapter 2, and we have already discussed the overview of the chapter. In our previous videos, we have covered the definition of emotion, we have defined emotion, we have given definition of emotion according to different people, and then we discussed about the components of emotion. So if you haven't watched that video, I have given a link in the description section. You can watch that video by clicking on that link. Now today in this video, we will be having a deep discussion on the characteristics of emotion. So today we will be learning about what are the different characteristics of emotion. So let's start with the part 2 of the chapter 2, which is about the characteristics of emotions. So under the topic of characteristics of emotions, there are some characteristics which we will be having discussion on. First one is about the universality of emotion. Then we will discuss the emotion depends on stimulus and lost thinking process. This is also one of the characteristics of emotion. After that, we will move towards the persistency, and then bodily changes will be discussed in this video. Emotional difference vary from one individual to another and from one situation to another. This is also one of the characteristics of emotion. Then we will be having a discussion on the need of emotional relation. After that, we will move towards the creativity or creative tendency in emotions. And then the next characteristics will be sometimes emotions are displaced. After that, we will discuss emotion is diffused, and last but not least, the topic would be emotion is commutative. So let's start having a discussion on it one by one. So we will be starting with the universality of emotions. Now, universality of emotion, it depends on subjective feelings. Emotions have a wide range. It varies from one person to person, and they are present in all the levels of mental life. Some individuals are more effective and others are less effective. So it is true that every living being is emotionally affected. Then the next characteristic is about the emotion depends on stimuli or stimulus. So emotions are capable of being excited by a large and different kinds of stimuli. For example, any kind of destruction may cause anger, and fear can be aroused due to loud noises, dark places, strange objects or animals, etc. So emotions can be aroused by perception of ideas, as when good news of joy comes, they can be aroused internally by organic changes. Such as those which result from use of intoxicants. So the next characteristics is about the lost thinking process. Now, some emotions have a paralyzing effect on voluntary movements, and when a person is in an emotional state, he never thinks his behavior is right or wrong. So this thinking process at that very moment is lost. For example, when grief struck and we're not able to think and eat and sleep and etc. So this is how a loss of thinking process occurs in emotional state. Our next characteristics is about persistency. Now, sometimes emotions tends to persist for a long time or period and leave behind an emotional disposition of mood, which makes the subjects more sensitive to certain emotion. And a mood is heightened tendency to feel a particular emotion. For example, when anyone fears, we can see that though the emotion of fear disappears, but this fear in the shape of emotional mood persists for a longer time. And then the next characteristics of emotion is the bodily changes. Yes, the bodily changes. Emotional behavior is made up of a number of bodily changes which are always present. Thus, emotions are normally accompanied by physiological changes like blood pressure, pulse rate, heartbeat, and respiration, and etc. So, when the person is in emotional state, the changes in the body, uh, facial expressions, and gestures also takes place. So, the next characteristics of emotion is emotional differences vary from one individual to another and from one situation to another. Now, differences in heredity is one of the causes for different emotional behavior. Environmental factor also affect an individual's emotional behavior. Psychologists discovered that the person who had more diseases in childhood are more prone to anger and fear responses when tested at the college age. Now, the next characteristics of emotion is need of emotional relation. Now, for arousal of more emotions, it is necessary that there must be emotional relation with any individual thing. For example, a mother loves his son, and if his son get any sad news from the side, if she get any sad news from the side of son, she become grieved because there is emotional relationship with her mother and the son. So the next characteristic of emotion is creative tendency and emotions. A man is creative when he is active, rather than passive in emotion. For example, when one is angry, his legs and arms begin to tremble and he is ready to do things or such works which he can't do in normal situation. Now the next characteristic is about sometimes emotions are displaced. Now, for example, if we are angry and insist on doing something against his will, the emotion of anger may soon be transferred on him. Emotions is diffused. This is one of the characteristics of emotion. Now, according to that, emotional stimuli are able to affect the entire body by emotional diffusion, and the impact is diffused it is diffused as extreme visceral activity affects the erection of the entire body. And diffusion intensifies the emotion or the emotional response and makes it all the more difficult to control or overcome. Emotions is commutative. Now, emotions is commutative means anger causes more anger and joy tends to produce more joy, and so on. So a person who is already angry and might see provocation is almost anything. In short, we can say negativity causes more negativity and positivity causes more positivity. So this was about today's video, which was about the characteristics of emotion. If your concept is clear, you can like the video. You can, if not, if there's any point that was confusing, you can ask us in the comment section, and we will be happy to help you out. Plus, you can share the link of this video, share the link of our channel with your family members and friends, because sharing is caring. Until then, Allah Hafiz.